The youth in our community are not just the future, they are the now. They are living in a world far different from the one many of us grew up in. A world dominated by social media, quick gratification, and societal pressures that pull them in countless directions. Yet, too often, we as adults speak to them as if we've forgotten what it means to be young and lost. We demand they act with a wisdom they have yet to acquire, ignoring the obstacles unique to their generation. It's not that our youth lack potential. It's that they often lack guidance tailored to their reality. Many of them are struggling with unseen traumas, fighting battles that we may not fully understand. To reach them, we must stop preaching from a pedestal and start engaging with empathy. They need us to remember our own journeys, to recall the detours and mistakes that led us to wisdom. Only then can we truly meet them where they are and guide them toward a path of growth and greatness. These thoughts that I'm sharing will dive into how and why our youth are lost, especially within the American African community and global community, because the world is shrinking. More importantly, it calls on us, those who have made it through fire and struggle, to connect with them authentically. It's a hard-hitting but heartfelt plea to recognize their worth and help them realize the seeds of greatness within themselves. But we have to understand first, why are the youth lost? I have a few points that I want to stress here about that. Social media addiction is one of them. First and foremost, social media isn't just a distraction. It's a lifestyle for many youth. They compare themselves to influencers, seek validation in likes, and develop a warped sense of reality. Another one is a lack of positive role models. Many young men and women don't see successful people who look like them. Instead, they idolize celebrities or influencers who glorify toxic behavior. Another one is broken homes. A significant number of youth are growing up in fractured families, often lacking the stable foundation necessary for emotional and mental development. Another one is school to prison pipeline. This is very much real. Our educational system frequently fails Black youth, pushing them into disciplinary systems that set them up for incarceration rather than success. Unaddressed trauma. From community violence to personal abuse, too many youth are silently carrying emotional wounds with no one to help them heal. And we know this one already, but it's still alive and well. Peer pressure in gangs. In environments where crime and gangs are normalized, some youth join for a sense of belonging, even if it leads them down a destructive path. Here's one that's very important. Illiteracy and poor education. Failing schools and low literacy rates leaves many youth unprepared to navigate the world as responsible adults. This is very important here now too. Hypersexualized culture, music, movies, and social media often promote hypersexuality, leaving youth to develop unhealthy ideas about relationships and self-worth. Now that's a big one, because you see, I don't know if you can remember your adolescence, but when the hormones start to hit you and the desires start to overcome you and you have to struggle with this, it was pretty tough. Many bad choices were made. We found ourselves in many situations that we could have avoided with a little discipline. But could you imagine what it's like now, with everything put in your face to titillate you even more? Everything that you were curious about is just one click away. One button click away on your computer, your smartphone, and you can see all the different things that we in our generation had to wait to see, if at all. So it's a way of turning your natural desires around and making it a prison for you, leading us to diseases, unwanted and unplanned pregnancies, situations, and you date somebody and you see somebody else and you want that person and you want this person, and our discipline and our ability to have control over ourselves is gone. It's like a raging fire. So our natural tendencies and inclinations are used against us, and that's the way they do. I had to speak on that one a little more. But also we have materialism. The obsession with flex culture has many youth prioritizing possessions over personal growth, leading to financial and emotional instability. It may not seem like a lot, but I've noticed, and it doesn't mean that this is set in stone, but we have many cultures throughout the world where education is prioritized, where the children and youngsters don't even give a damn about a name brand outfit or the status of going to a certain or particular club, or all of those things are irrelevant, but it sets the foundation for a life of success and at least a better quality life, because the education doesn't just translate into dollars and cents. But when you have a better education and knowledge of the world around you, life is more enjoyable because you understand beyond the boundaries or limitations of your local area or local neighborhood or country or city where you grew up. This is why me personally, I have a thirst for knowledge, a thirst to know what's going beyond the parameters of my local area, to learn new cultures, to travel different places, because I've seen so many people. They're born in a certain area, they live their whole life in that certain area, and sadly, they die in that area without enjoying the world as it is. And in the American system, pretty much most are slaves. They are trapped. You call up a friend, how are you? What are you doing today? Oh, I'm on my way to work. You call them again. Oh, I'm leaving one job and I have 15 minutes before I have to go to the next job. The weekends come, they're working. Sunday comes, they're working. They don't even have time to enjoy their home, their apartment, their condo, their townhome. They're tired. So this thing can really wreck up your life, the quality of life for our youth. It's almost like they're damned to be in a prison. And so there's a sense of hopelessness. And so they will escape into things because they don't feel right. At least when I was coming up, we had the same issues that we have today, but it wasn't as intense. There was a sense of hope, But I will say that I'm very disappointed in the direction that the world has taken, because this is not the world that we were promised as youngsters. But we have enough wisdom and we have enough self-discipline, many of us, to steer clear of the pitfalls, but our youth do not. So this is why, even if you haven't made it in any area of expertise that is known by the world as great, for you to have lasted when you are older and you have a balanced life, there's a responsibility that comes. It doesn't mean you have to hold the youth's hand all the way of children you don't know, but be a positive influence and acknowledge the greatness in them and give them a kind word, an inspirational word, and embrace them a little more to bring them into your world to show them how they can make it. Now here's one more. Generational disconnect. Too often, adults dismiss the struggles of youth with, when I was your age, stories, creating a barrier to understanding and support. You know, jobs might have flown a little easier back in the day, having something to do during the summer. But these days, it may not be that way. Many of the adults find it hard to make it. And I'm going to say it again, the decline of the dollar. And maybe in different countries, the currency. See, again, I'm going to say it. I keep saying this, and I've said it before, and I want you to keep listening to it. This is 2024. We're going into 2025. And I have a friend that used to ride my bus with me, an older white gentleman, and he was a statistician, and he worked for big corporations, big companies, and he detailed where they were going financially with their resources. Now you have AI that does that now. But he was brilliant, and he told me, he said, Lance, this is in 2016. He said, listen, the 2016 dollar is only 13 cents of the 1973 dollar. I'm going to say it again. The 2016 dollar is only 13 cents of the 1973 dollar. So when you think back to those days, if you were alive in those days, money stretched. My mother would take $50 to the grocery store and come out with 2 shopping carts that were so high up piled with stuff in the bottom and another shopping cart that was half full. You tell me where you can get 2 big shopping carts, 2.5 big shopping carts with the bottoms filled up for $50 and still have change left over. You see, it sounds good when people now who don't have really much education and they say, well, you know, we have a job here for $15 an hour, $20 an hour, $23 an hour. But how much is the buying power? You see what I mean? So we're working 2 and 3 jobs. We're running harder to get less. But the change is so gradual. So let me ask you this. If in 2016, the 2016 dollar was 13 cents of the 1973 dollar, what is the 2024 dollar? What is the 2025 dollar? When that was 8-9 years ago when he said that. From my research, I heard that the dollar today is only about 8 or 9 cents of what it was in 1973. Who wants to live in a system like that? Where you go into a job and you have to ask for 2 weeks off if you've been there for a year. You have a probationary period where you have to walk line and step. You better not make a mistake. Now, this is not about the money or the jobs, but then when you are the youth and somebody says, well, you know, back in my day, I got a job, get a job. And it's only 8 or 9 cents of what it used to be in 1973. But it's such a slow process and we're so distracted and we want things. We see the commercials, we see the billboards. How do you think the youth feel? when many of us are so materialistic and it seems like an impossible proposition for them to attain a normal life. Can they dream of home ownership in this economy? Can they dream of having a nice brand new vehicle when usually their credit is bruised before they even realize the power of good credit and how to use it? Has anybody taught them how to use credit to leverage them in a better advantageous position? These are the things we have to tell them. We can't just say, well, when I was your age, I did this. This is a different world. But how do we meet them where they are? First of all, we have to acknowledge their reality. We must first recognize that the challenges they face are real and significant. Listening without judgment is the first step toward building trust. And that's on us. We have to listen without judgment. They may have done things that they're scared to tell you. They may have done things that are not life-threatening, but it's definitely a trajectory in the wrong place. But we have to make them feel comfortable. And we have to listen without judgment. And we have to tell this to them. And we just don't do it in that conversation. We have to be there for them. We have to make them feel they can come to us. And that we can guide them because they want guidance, even when they seem to be rebellious. And we got to use their language. It doesn't mean we have to be old folks trying to talk hip, but we have to speak in terms they understand and connect with. Don't approach them with jargon or condescension. Meet them at their level of comprehension. So you don't go trying to talk to them like you're throwing the book at them with big words. And no, that's a separation. You know how they talk. Wherever you are in America, in the world, whatever region, it doesn't mean you have to come with slang, but you have to break it down because you have to still understand they're younger and their perception of the world is not as vast as yours. We also have to lead by example. Youth need to see integrity and success in action. Show them what it looks like to overcome adversity without losing your soul. But we have to be an example. You see, when I see a squirrel that's older running and playing with a younger squirrel, they're not just playing. That older squirrel is showing the younger squirrel how to use its body, how to use its balance, its agility, its tail, to run up the side of a tree, jump here, spin around, do this. To play, yes, it's fun, but it's a test drive, because when that younger squirrel doesn't have the protection of the older squirrel, or even as a younger squirrel, it may find itself alone and in danger and chased by something predatory that can end its life. Now it knows how to maneuver itself to safety. And that's what we have to do with our youth. Lead by example. And we have to offer real solutions instead of vague advice where they're left scratching their head. Give actionable steps. Help them find resources, opportunities, and mentors who can guide them. Find out what they're interested in. They may not know. Expose them to different things. They're going to just stay on the phone, and the phone is a wonderful tool, but if they don't know what to search for, to focus on, they have that huge, vast phone. See, we had the library, and it was dated. Say, for example, someone of note who transitioned last month, and we went to go and do a book report or write a story on them, as it was a school lesson that we had to do that was mandatory. That person passed away, but then you see they were born in 1933 and there's a dash and it doesn't say when they passed away. The smartphone, the tablet, and the computer, it's always up to date. So we have information that's down to the second. Now, I complain about AI on certain levels because it's taking people's jobs, but it's there for a tool of research to make you better, that you can leverage your prompts and what you inquire about to stay up to date, more so than if you had to go to the library. Do we even have libraries anymore? Do we even have bookstores anymore? We still need to devour books. We still need books. We still need to hold the book and have a relationship with the book. Now, I'm kind of going off tangent, but that blue light that is on your smartphone or your computer, it emulates sunlight and it keeps you up. So with a book, and you read the book and you get into the book, you fall asleep naturally. And make sure to consume something that stays in your mind, the last thing before you go to sleep. That's a real wonderful thing. And I will be talking about that in the future. Also, build relationships. Relationships take time. Show consistent care and patience, proving to them that you're not just another adult who will give up on them, because they're used to that. Adults are too busy in their own idiosyncrasies and their own kinks and their own indulgences most of the time. Oh, I'll talk to you about that later on. I got something to do right now. And that liquor bottle's waiting for you. That adulteress or that other relationship is waiting for you. See, the drugs that they may use. You see, most adults are jacked up. I'm not going to say all, I don't know the percentage, but they got their own stuff to work on. So how can they convey this sense of stability, right? So we have to get ourselves together, number one, because we can't be mixed up and expect our children to excel. It doesn't work that way. Our youth are not beyond saving. They're beyond superficial solutions. They need us to invest time, effort, and understanding. They need us to listen to their struggles, empathize with their frustrations, and believe in their potential when they struggle to see it themselves. As adults, we cannot afford to sit back and criticize. We must roll up our sleeves and do the work to connect with them, whether it's through mentorship, advocacy, or simply being present in their lives. We were once where they are, lost in a world of uncertainty, and someone helped us to find our way. We are not asking our youth to change overnight. We are asking ourselves to be patient as they navigate a world that challenges them at every turn. The seeds of greatness are already within them. It's our job to help them see it. The American African community has always been a wellspring of resilience and ingenuity. Let us channel that same energy into lifting our youth, reminding them of their inherent worth and their immense potential. Let us meet them where they are, so together we can guide them toward where they need to be. I don't need to say any more. Those last sentences said it all. We need to meet them where they are, so that we can guide them toward where they need to be. Let's let that thought hang, saute and simmer in our brains, and make the necessary changes, because it's not about separation of generations like a good transmission. It's a smooth transition when everything is working right. Much love to you all. This has been Lancescurv of Lancescurv.com. All of our work is on our website. Make sure to go there. We have almost a quarter of a century of all types of constructive stuff there, realistic and brutally honest, bold, raw, and uncut. Have a good day. Thank you very much. Much love. Peace out.
Lancescurv.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.